The right-wing group Moms for Liberty seems to be bucking Ron DeSantis, at least in one area: mental health care in schools. Apparently, Moms for Liberty doesn't believe mental health care, it belongs in schools, saying mental health care is health care, and that's why it doesn't belong in Florida schools or any public school. So now they posted that in response to President Joe Biden's strategy to improve access to mental health care, for students, saying, quote, healthcare has no place in public schools. So no place in public school. Keep your health care away from my kids. Well, I want my kids to be sick. What? Okay, no. Now, this battleground is interestingly taking place in Florida. So, look, it turns out both Republicans and Democrats, including, by the way, Ron DeSantis, actually signed a piece of legislation to help increase mental health care in schools. So this happened after the 2018 mass shooting at Marjory Stoneman Douglas High School in Parkland. As a result of the MDS, Public Safety Act, Florida school districts are required to have mental health care. They're required to have mental health care accessible to the students. Okay, so there's about a $500 million package that was signed into law, actually by Florida Governor Rick Scott in 2018, and actually expanded on by the DeSantis administration. So, in fact, he signed, basically stuff that expanded this, saying, well, yeah, of course, yeah, I believe in mental health care for kids. Oh, good for him. Good for him. Great. Wonderful. So now this had a threefold focus to address gun laws, school safety, and mental health. So now a Democrat, Florida State Senator Lauren Book, called the MSD Public Safety Act a, quote, a landmark piece of bipartisan legislation which provides unprecedented levels of funding for mental health in public schools. To our First Lady's Hope for Healing initiative, which focuses on addressing our kids' mental health and preventing substance abuse. All right. And she said, quote, we've made clear students' mental health and well-being is a shared concern and a priority which transcends party lines. So, again, bipartisan. However, Moms for Liberty Sarasota County Chapter Chair Alexis Spiegelman and other conservative parents that are part of that group say no mental health care in schools. In fact, mental health care, it's too woke. Oh.
Woke.
That's right. At this point, what isn't woke for them? But okay. Spiegelman claims that this is specifically another version of social emotional learning, or SEL. SEL teaches skills such as self-awareness, empathy, and resilience. Yes. Of course. Yeah, somehow, those apparently bad, very, very woke, and we don't want that in the schools.
The wokers.
Okay. Now, she apparently sees through all you wokesters and said this, quote, many families feel our conservative majority is not listening to the very people that helped them get elected. Specifically, referencing Ron DeSantis and Casey DeSantis. Quote, the Florida legislature, along with the governor, are not helping matters. They're actively pushing SEL indoctrination into our schools and community through the recent legislation and additional state funding. So, again, let me just reiterate here. Mental health care for children, woke. Again, it teaches kids empathy and resilience and self-awareness. I think I know what the problem is. Apparently, these people seem to have an issue with empathy. That's my guess. How dare you feel for other people? No, you are supposed to crush other people. You're not supposed to feel for them. No, it seems pretty sociopathic, but it gets more unhinged. In a recent Sarasota Moms for Liberty chapter newsletter, the organization called out state and county leadership for bringing, quote, even more social and emotional learning into our school under the guise of mental health. It appears that the leftist agenda has not skipped a beat as the permanent administrative state, who outlast any figurehead change in the board, marched on unobstructed by our new board, with their continued sexualization and alienation of children from families. Again, remember, we're talking about social and emotional learning, empathy, resilience, and self-awareness. And by the way, also mental health care. Somehow that is sexualization. I don't understand. Furthermore, they call out Governor Ron DeSantis, the Florida State Legislature, and the First Lady, Casey DeSantis, and their resiliency toolkit. Look, man, I'm just going to say this. When Ron DeSantis is too woke for you, you know that you've completely gone off the deep end. Okay. Insanity. Again, mental health care. What do you think mental health care is? I want these people to explain what they believe mental health care is. I mean, from my experience, it's going to involve things like, I don't know, helping raise your self-esteem, helping you deal perhaps with some past traumas, maybe to help you get and maintain a better, headspace. Oh, I get it. All that seems pretty woke, actually. Yeah, woke. As in positive, good, all these good things. What do they expect healthcare to be, honestly? What do they punch you in the balls and tell you to man up? There's your mental health care. Man up, bitch. Oh, you know what? Actually, I think I understand it now. No, I think the aim of these groups is basically they want you to go to church. That's it. They want you to go and leave it all up to God. That's it. Their version of mental health care is go talk to a priest who, if you're Catholic, may or may not molest you. I mean, you're really kind of rolling the dice on that one. But apparently, that's what they want. That's what they want, for you to just, not get any kind of mental health care, but just go and leave it up to religion to go and do their type of indoctrination, which is religious indoctrination. But is she right, though? Do parents not want mental health care in schools? Again, Moms for Liberty, at least the Sarasota chapter, again, doesn't speak for the main group, I guess, because I don't know what they think about healthcare or mental health care in schools, but the parents, however, I mean that's really who you should be asking, right? Well, according to Tanya Fitzgerald, mental health coordinator for Leon County Schools in Florida, she says she hasn't heard any complaints from parents about mental health care being in schools. Actually, there was a complaint, the fact that there should be more mental health care in the schools. There's not enough, you see. In fact, local mental health counselors in Leon County said that students are actually experiencing more anxiety now since the pandemic. According to the CDC, more than 4 in 10, 42% of high school students felt persistently sad or hopeless, and nearly 1/3, 29%, experienced poor mental health in 2021. I mean, I have some ideas of what that might be, but all right. Existential climate change, our political climate overall, those are my thoughts. Meanwhile, more than 1 in 5, 22% students seriously considered self-harm, and more than 1 in 10 actually attempted to end their own lives. So, that's really, really disastrous numbers. Now, the state law requires every school district to develop policies and procedures to involve mental health professionals if a student happens to be in a crisis, even going so far as to do an involuntary mental health examination, even committing someone involuntarily. So they've really pulled out the stops on this one. Now, that's called the Baker Act, and it would allow doctors, mental health professionals, judges, and law enforcement to commit someone for a psychiatric evaluation, again, either voluntarily or involuntarily. And in the 2021 to 2022 fiscal year, in schools, about 12% of involuntary examinations included children. So, wow. Now, that's disastrous? It's Leon County has seen a rise in the number of Baker Acts among students. And in 2020 to 2021, the state law also saw an increase in involuntary examinations of children, or in children, sorry. Now, that number did drop the next year to 11%, according to USF research. The decrease in involuntary examinations could be attributed to additional funding of mobile response teams, a part of the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas Act. Again, the very act that this Moms for Liberty group doesn't like. Now, Fitzgerald said, quote, "I have dealt with parents who have reached out to us, to the schools, who needed help as part of this." She said, quote, "The parents that I hear from are grateful that we are assisting with this." So here's an example of something that seems to be helpful. In some cases, in my opinion, a little extreme, with the involuntary stuff, but seems to have some results. And this also illustrates to me the fact that the Moms for Liberty, at least the Florida chapter, doesn't care about the mental health and well-being of children. And look, it's not about protecting children from them at all, in my opinion. Again, these are the people that screamed mental health care in schools instead of restricting guns. And when they did that, then they said, whoa, 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 whoa. We didn't actually mean do mental health care in schools, because that would be too woke. Look, at the end of the day, they do not want a solution. What they want to do is just nothing.